Evening. Welcome to MH Warrior TV. Second time I'm on today. Gosh, people's going to get sick of me at some point. No, no. My name's Andaval, aka the Mental Health Warrior, and today we've got a treat. We've got the suicide survivor, or shall I say, the suicide thriver. Now, I'm just going to let you think about that because this will be part of today's conversation. So we have got, and I hope she gives me a thumbs up if I say her last name right, because today I've been getting surnames wrong. Michele Noordhof. Hey, got it right. Brilliant. Right, for everyone that's going to be tuning in today, please share this in awareness from wherever you're tuning in from, and all I've got to say is I will see you in 30 seconds. Hello.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It is Remembrance Day here in Canada. It's just shortly after 12, so we would have had our moment to recognize all of our veterans here just almost an hour ago. And
Yeah.
so I'm just really thrilled to be on your show today. Today is just perfect timing. And so, first of all, thank you to all the vets around the world who have committed their lives to serving each of us. And I also put my heart and hand together in remembrance of those who did not return and to those that when they returned never came back and that they had chosen to go and not to stay. And so I have a real heart for those and the journeys they have traveled. So thank you. And thank you for your show. And thank you for what you are doing to talk about a lot of mental health issues and to remove that silence and stigma around mental health. So thank you, Adam.
You're most welcome. And I may as well, in respect of everyone, I will change that. How's that?
Oh, that is so beautiful. That's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Just in respect of the veterans, obviously, we had a veteran on earlier this afternoon with Guy Brolando. He shared a powerful story. So yeah, it's been very busy here on Warrior TV today. Very busy.
That's fantastic because you're doing some amazing work and I understand that you have been doing this show for almost 2 years. And so my
Yeah,
hat's off to you. Like
thank you.
truly grateful for you and the message that you are doing.
Thank you. That really means a lot to all of us. It really does. We're just an average Joe, shall I say, spreading the message, spreading our experience. That's all
And
we're
creating
doing.
a platform for each of us to be able to share our stories and journeys. So thank you.
You are most welcome. Now, I'm going to throw some quick fire questions at you, just to see what your interests are. So I'm going to start now. I'm going to try and do a little bit different to what people's been throwing today. So I'm going to say, are you a night owl or an early bird?
The honest truth, neither these days. I used to be a night owl,
Yeah,
never really an early bird. I do find that because of my day job, I do get up early enough in the morning.
yeah.
For me, though, I love the later morning, even if I've been up for a few hours. Thank goodness for coffee.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Are you a cat person or a dog?
I love all animals. I am
Yeah.
currently a cat mom to two girls, Leela and Hope. And Yeah, there's something fascinating about cats for me. And so I'm one of these lovey huggy people. And of course, dogs are more naturally
Yeah,
inclined to really want to have that connection with
yeah.
you, where my two cats are not quite like that. So I don't know if part of, the thrill of them is their sense of independence and how they just think for themselves and they put whatever their needs are first. And I think I admire that while I chase them around the house and try and cuddle them.
It's absolutely crazy. Now, I may as well bring it out. Does pineapple belong on pizzas?
Sorry?
Does pineapple belong on pizzas?
Hmm. Traditionally, no, but I have a couple of times given in when that's the only pizza that's been available and have once eaten them, the rest of the time picked them off. I'm not a pineapple fan on anything.
No,
So,
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll give a last one. Snow or rain?
oh, rain in a minute. To me, there is something beautiful about the opportunity to dance in the rain. I can remember when I was in grade four, one of my classmates and I, during a class field outing, while everybody huddled in the building, her and I were on the picnic tables dancing. And it was just very powerful for me. So I definitely say rain over the other one, which we try not to say out loud here because it is November in Alberta, Canada. So that season is coming.
Yeah, it's trying to come here as well. So who knows? Who knows? I love the snow, but I don't love too much of it. I actually prefer the rain myself. Very soothing. Really
Yeah,
soothing.
it is. Though the beauty of snow, the sparkle and the crispness and the pristine, the white, it's beautiful. And I'm probably 2 hours drive from the Rocky Mountains. And
Ah,
so from my front yard, I can see the foothills in the Rocky Mountains. And the one nice thing about snow is that it makes those mountains incredibly beautiful during this time of year.
oh, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Now, Michelle. So, let's get to know who the suicide thriver or survivor is. So, I'm going to say, who is she?
It's interesting because as I thought about being a suicide survivor, I actually have a story attached to that. And
Okay.
so I guess going back to the beginning, the first time I attempted suicide was at the age of 12. And
Yeah.
while it was very poor attempt, the emotions behind that were very real. And it would start a journey through many years of how I struggled with choosing to live or choosing to die. And when I was in my, say, early to mid 40s, I worked for an organization that all of us took suicide intervention training. And so I think I was probably a pretty easy study for my boss and someone else at the organization when I was going through a very dark time of my life, which for me wasn't a dark time. It was actually a time of freedom because I knew that I had a plan in place. I'd be able to execute it. It didn't matter that all the times before in my life that I had attempted and not been successful, that this time it was going to truly be successful. But for them, in their commitment to the training that they took, they stepped in and did an intervention. And so for me, yes, I agreed to the contract with them that I would stay. But that day, I died a worse death than if I had actually died because I didn't have the heart in me that supported the suicide survivor. And that's truly what I was. And it was really dark times after that for a period of time until I met an incredible woman by the name of Sylvie. And Sylvie introduced me to her friend, Jen. And these two women are very key in who I am today, because both of these women, rest in peace for both of them, they have transcended now, but they had such a beauty for life, and they loved life, and they lived life fiercely. They were both struggling with cancer. And as I watched them, I didn't necessarily understand why they loved life so much, but I knew that I needed to not throw my life away, because that would be so disrespectful for
Yeah.
them. And that created a hinge point for me, that as I was willing to start opening the doors for myself around Survivor, I could actually start to see the beginning layers of what now brings me to the place of Suicide Thriver.
Wow. Wow.
And it's more, yeah, it's more than just living.
Yeah.
And it's about knowing now why Sylvie and Jen loved life, because I can see the value in that. There was finally a place where I could take that, and that became my story. My old mantra used to be death is better than life. And my new mantra is embracing the magic of life. And just last week on my way to work, there's this incredible sunrise. And the first moment that comes to my mind as I watch it is, I am so grateful to be alive. And that is Suicide Thriver.
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, what I'm going to do is I'd like you to talk about like how you've grown up to what led you to being triggered to say you wanted to attempt suicide.
Absolutely. When
So,
I,
so what I'll do is I'll jump out so you've got the platform to yourself because nobody
okay.
wants to see this ugly face.
Oh, you're good. Like, I just love just sitting and having conversation with you. But if you want to pop out, I'm perfectly open to
Yes.
that. And you and I will connect back in a moment or so, and I'll share
Yeah,
my story.
absolutely. That.
So, as I mentioned earlier, when I was 12, I attempted suicide for the very first time. And it's interesting as I think back to that particular day, and I honestly hadn't thought about that day for a very, very long time. That day was triggered by being bullied once again on the school bus. And I had already recently had gone to my mom and told her that I was being bullied on the bus. And her message to me in the conversation was that she couldn't say anything and she couldn't defend me, because the parents of these boys that were picking on me on the school bus were her friends. And in order for her to say anything to them about her son's picking on me, that she would be worried that they wouldn't want to have anything to do with her anymore. And so it already established a message at that point in time that I was unimportant. And so that particular day on the school bus was just another round of being bullied with these boys. They would take garbage, rotting garbage, out of the garbage can in the back of the bus. And when there was almost nobody left on the bus, then they would proceed to physically attack me, and they would smear all the rotten food all over me, across my face, through my hair. I had a bus driver that chose to turn a blind eye. As I found out later in life, he was an alcoholic. And so for him to have brought any attention to this situation would have meant that he would have been revealed for the issues that he had. But at this moment of having this message of being unimportant was only one part of the belief system that I had created upon very significant life experiences in my life. And so going back to probably when I was about 2. So the first 7 years of my life, my parents rented a farmhouse kind of close to the Rockies. We were at the base of the foothills. It's this huge looming house, You know, it's one of those that you would see in kind of the horror movies, you know, dark and dingy is how I remember it because of the memories attached there. And so here we are. I'm 2 years old or very close to that age, and we're at a family gathering at the kitchen table. And I remember getting sick on the little table on the high chair, and my mom ripping me out of the high chair and running me to the bathroom. And I think for the people that were sitting at the table would have been aunts and uncles and cousins, might not have noticed anything in particular. But while in the bathroom, my mom proceeded to bawl me out and tell me, you know, a bunch of horrible stuff. And so, again, later in life, I can see that these little belief systems that develop in these quick moments start to kind of spread into other areas of who I was as a person, who each of us are as people. And there was a few other very significant life experiences that happened really between the ages of 2 and I would say 7. At the age of 7 being very significant in the fact that my mom, when I got home from school one day, sat me down and simply said to me, "I'm not your mother." And so in the shock of the moment, I'm 7 years old, looking at her going, "Well, who's my mother and where's my mother? And who are you and why am I with you?" And there's like these multitude of questions which my mom couldn't answer. All she said to me was simply is that my mom, my birth mom, hadn't wanted me and gave me away. My mom didn't even tell me that day that she loved me. And so I had created a very strong belief system, and I had created very specific words out of those belief systems that, you know, included things like being unimportant, unwanted, unloved, abandoned. I had shame, I had guilt, I was a bad girl. And I took these belief systems and created a persona of who I thought that I was. And that set the foundation not only for when I was 12, but when I was 17 and when I was 19. And even in my 30s, when I didn't necessarily make actual attempts to kill myself, the emotion and the belief system and the value system that I had remained very attached. And that's kind of how I lived my life. When I was 5 years old, we were at a community gathering. And it was interestingly the same group of women that my mom later would not talk to when I was being bullied. But we were at a Christmas gathering. It's at the community hall. And I remember getting on the stage as we were all running around the space. And I stopped on the edge of the stage. And I knew in that moment that I was meant to be on the stage. I didn't realize then what the message would be. I just knew that there was something that drew me around the stage. And so, you know, through school and into adult years, I did a lot of theater, a lot of TV and film. And it was great because what I realized was that I could always hide behind a mask. And so the mask became what the world saw me. And if I was a character in a play, or if I was playing pretend to not let anybody know what was really going inside me, that's what I did. I just walked around with a mask. And so there was this day where all of a sudden I was recognizing in a TV commercial of somebody else for some sort of, you know, depression medication with a stick and a mask. And I was going, oh my goodness, that's me. And that was a pivotal moment where I knew that I needed to take that time and start to remove that mask and really come to the stage and be authentically raw, real me. And that's basically where I'm at today. But there's been a lot of very specific experiences that has created a new belief system. for me. And I'll let you go, Adam, and then I'll share with that.
I'm trying to think of a response to all of that. Do I say wow? Do I applaud you? Wow.
I
Ah,
I say thank you
yeah.
because my heart's mission is to not to be defined by my life experiences, but in Lauren Harris's words, to choose to be refined by those life experiences. And so for me, uh, I think it was probably 2016 actually, where I was starting to connect with maybe kind of a different crowd of people because I really wanted to, while I was watching Sylvie and Jen and their journeys and their messages, I really wanted to align myself with people that would be uplifting, encouraging, supporting. Of course, they're also going to kick me in the butt when I need it. And I have been blessed since then with an incredible, amazing group of individuals that have really come into play for that. And I'll share a little bit more about Misfit Nation in a moment.
Yes.
So here I am, 2016, trying to figure out, how am I going to stand a little bit better in truth? And so I just I just had this kind of aha moment of, well, people around me could live and love life. I had a choice.
Yeah.
I could choose to do the same thing. Now, it doesn't change any of the life experiences and it doesn't change the belief systems attached to those life experiences, but I could choose consciously to change how I wanted to think, how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to represent myself in the world. And as I started to really direct my thoughts towards that, I saw doors starting to open. And a very important part of the journey of who I am today was when a friend of mine reached out to invite me to an event called Women Talk South Calgary. And that would have been October 2016. Oftentimes I would, oh, I'd love to go. Always find an excuse not to go, to stay home.
Mm.
But something told me that I just really needed to go this evening. And I went to this event, and there was a room full of, as it was described, ordinary women with extraordinary stories. And the talkers for that evening event just talked about experiences they'd gone through and how they'd overcome that. And I knew before the end of the evening that I needed to have this kind of organization come to my community. And so I went to the founder who was present that night at that meeting, Bridget Lassard-Diel, and said, Women Talk Okotoks needs to happen. And we had a conversation. Long story short, January 2017, we opened the local chapter. And it was a safe space for me to start to find a way to come to the stage as me by doing monthly motivational moments. And so, whatever type of experience might be happening during that month, I would figure out a way where there might be a message behind that would help me grow and hopefully help others grow as well. In September 2017, I decided that I would share my entire suicide journey from the stage. Was I scared and nervous? Yes, but I was also excited because I knew that the moment that I shared my story, that I was no longer going to be prisoner to my story,
Yeah.
and that there is life after the tragedy behind
Right.
the belief systems that are attached to suicide. And so as I prepared for sharing my story, I went back to those experiences and those old belief systems, and I started to actually change the wording. And I created a group of words that would offset the old belief system. And I looked at, I am important. I am worthy. I am loved. I am wanted. I am valued. And I just continued to layer word after word and phrase after phrase to consciously choose. Now, I didn't believe those words all the time, but I knew that I had to start with saying the words because there would be a point when my mind and when my heart would start to believe them. And so here I am. I'm on the stage, September 2017, feeling excited because I just can see the next chapter of my life unfolding before me. I had invited a girlfriend to come that night, and she didn't come. And I thought, it's not a big deal. I hadn't seen her a couple of years. She'd just come back to the community. We were going to reconnect. We were going to have a visit, a coffee, and maybe lunch, catch up, whatever that looked like. And so I wasn't worried when she didn't show that night. 3 weeks later, I was able to share my story again at another event. And I once again invited my friend. There was once again circumstances, and she was not able to attend. And I felt disappointed and sad. And I think I felt like I really wanted to reach out to her, but I didn't know in that moment the why. A few days later, my girlfriend Pamela calls me, and Pam and I have been friends for years. She'll never call me during the day at work, ever. And so I knew that something was going on when Pam was calling me in the middle of the day, and I answered the phone, and the only words out of her mouth were, Aggie is gone. I had no words in that moment. Here's myself of having this recent rising from my own story, my own journey. I mean, like literally, I could feel this warrior woman from within me rising, and I could see her, and she's, got armor and wings and a sword, and she's standing tall, and like we're ready, that we're going to make a difference in the world. And all I can hear is, Aggie is gone. And as quick as that warrior rose, I could feel her collapsing on the floor right in front of my eyes. Because all of a sudden I asked the question to myself, well, what if my story didn't matter? What if all of this was for nothing? I couldn't even save the life of a friend. And all of a sudden well, I should have been there. I should have known. And I started to question all of these things. And a few days later, Pam and I were at the memorial service for Aganitha. And Pam looked at me and she said, what do you think of STAR's air ambulance service? And I kind of, just looked at her and kind of, okay, Pamela has done a myriad of projects through her life. And I thought, oh, so maybe she's venturing on another new project. Okay, so I'll play along. I said, well, STAR's Air Ambulance does this incredible service. And then she asked me the next question. She says, does STAR's Air Ambulance save every patient? And I went, well, no. And then she asked me the biggest question. Does STAR Air Ambulance, well, what if they had chosen to close their doors after they lost their first patient? What would have happened to everyone that came after? And so it was in that moment where I had to sit and I had to figure out what my internal response would be to Aggie's suicide. And as I walked through that part of my journey, I started to recognize that, first of all, I'd been telling everybody that my life, my journey is mine and mine alone. And so therefore, I needed to recognize for Aggie that her life, her journey, her story had been hers and hers alone. Yeah. What was my responsibility in that is I just needed to simply love her without judgment and release her. And then the biggest moment came. My story does matter.
It
I
does.
have made a difference. I saved a life. It was mine.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Wow. Um, I want to retract back to those words which you never believed what you were saying to yourself. Do you not think you believed them, but you didn't accept them?
Absolutely did not accept them. Somehow, for whatever reason, that those words didn't apply to me because I had such a cemented foundation of all of these words that come from the outside. And that was the other piece too for me was, and every day is a new day and I'm not there 100% of the time, but external validation, that has been very powerful and influential in how I believe about myself. So as long as I was taking the messages from outside of myself, they were actually stronger than the messages that I was trying to create from the inside out.
Yeah.
But I've been choosing to do that anyways, to uh, even in the days maybe I don't necessarily believe it, is that I need to accept them as truth,
Yeah.
that all of that external validation is really lies that have been told from me or to me from the world around me, and not necessarily that those people externally had an intention to create that type of internal distraction. I look at my life experiences with my mom and I look at her now, like, bless her heart, she's 85 years old. And she has had a lifetime of her own experiences. She has her own story. She has her own messaging of how she sees herself and how her belief system became the belief system that was imparted to me. Did she really, wake up every morning with the intention of, well, what can I do to make my daughter feel bad about herself? Absolutely not.
Mm.
But part of my mother's journey is that when her and my dad got married, these are my adoptive parents. When they got married, they had a daughter, and she passed away from SIDS just before her first birthday. And my mom never recovered from that. And so when we talk about mental health issues and we talk about postpartum, there was a whole gamut of things that happened to my mom. And I feel, I was born 1963, so that puts me almost 60. And we're
You
looking at a
don't look
life and
it.
time.
You
Thank
don't.
you. But we're looking at a life and time where I think it was expected for, households to be families.
Yeah.
And not to say that, my mom didn't love me or doesn't love me. She just didn't know the how to.
Yeah.
And part of my healing journey, since I'm on the healing journey, is to really be aware of how can I pour back into my mom love, non-judgment, and forgiveness. And forgiveness hasn't been easy, but forgiveness is also being very freeing for me.
That's
Who I am in this very moment and who I plan to become could not be possible without the specific experiences and events that have happened in my life. And while none of us may choose the experiences that occurs in our lives, we have to remember the saying, I think it's Tony Robbins who says something about life happens for us and
yeah.
not to us. And not to say that those life experiences are okay, because many of the life experiences and the traumas and the tragedies that we suffer are not okay. But we can choose how we're going to respond to them after they've occurred to create the persons that we need to be in the journey that we need to walk on. And there's importance in our story. because as long as we're silent, if we're silent about what has occurred to us that created our stories, and if we're silent about the impacts of those stories, there are going to be others that are going to suffer in silence too. And
Yeah.
that's why, like, I'm very sincere in saying thank you to you, Adam, for what you are doing around these conversations and these dialogues.
Yeah.
Because every moment, one moment at a time, we can truly make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You bang on. Where we can't control the experiences we live, but you can control the choices you make.
Absolutely.
So that's where it leads to my next one is when it comes to choices, because I believe now, I've got myself to believe when we're triggered, instead of actually changing it, turning it into a mistake, which 9 times out of 10 that happens, let's turn it into an opportunity. So why do you think people do, when they're triggered, change to the turn to the negative all the time?
It's incredibly powerful, the belief systems.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about how great a house is. It's a foundation of cement. But that's not such a great foundation when you're talking about your own life and your own experiences. And for me, recognizing that I truly wasn't alone made a difference, because I'm going to be human and I'm going to walk back into those places in my humanness. I'll have moments that will trigger me, and I immediately feel those old belief systems pop back in. And so, one of the things that really occurred for me, Women Talk was very pivotal and very important, and the establishment of a circle of people that I come together with, and we trust each other to have honest conversations and dialogues and being real, and we use that to uplift and encourage one another, of course, to kick each other in the butt too when we need it. I came across an online community by the name of Misfit Nation. And this is a place for each of us that just don't feel like we belong, or there's been some sort of experiences for us or something in our journey that we are challenged with, but we know that there's more to us than those belief systems. And so, like, I'm proud to say that I'm a misfit because I embrace all of me, every part of me. And when I joined this online community, I started to make friends and found people similar journeys to me, other people that had their own journeys, but we agreed to stand in support of one another. And I think it was, probably fall of 2019, there was some circumstances that occurred in my life. And here I am in my ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and I hit a valley like nobody's business. And I had really jumped right back into that very old belief system. It didn't matter how much I had grown and how much I'd learned. Emotionally, I was immediately back there. And I had, some very key people through Misfit Nation. One of them in particular is Rayanne Gardner, who, immediately come alongside me without judgment, just to stand and help me reclaim my truth. And in December 2019, I made a public declaration in this group, because it was safe for me to do so, that I would commit to living, that no longer would suicide or death by my hand be an option for me. And where that was significant for me, that public declaration became the cemented foundation for who I am now. So it doesn't say that I don't have days of moments where I don't emotionally struggle, but I also immediately get that reminder, that public declaration, and it's enough to pick me back up. So if I can't cope alone, I reach out to somebody for help. And that's another important piece of the journey. And like for me, I thought I was alone.
Yeah.
Who do you talk to? If people are going to think you're crazy. People don't understand or whatever the excuses are, but they are lies to get you to not talk.
Yeah, exactly. Did you actually know that March 2019, I attempted suicide?
Thank you for that honest share.
Yeah. And I brand it as the successful failure.
Mm. Amen to that.
Yeah,
Did
exactly.
you feel like that in that very moment, or was it a realization that came to you later?
Well, my outcome was not death. I didn't want to die that day. I didn't. But someone told me that I was better off with gone. So, and that was my own mindset. Yeah. Due to
Yes.
childhood trauma as well.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I get all these stories out, but
Yeah.
I never get mine out that much.
Yeah. And it's important uh, to share all of our stories.
Yeah.
I've had moments where I'm like, besides Aggie's death, like, does my story matter? What's unique or special about me? Well, all of us are unique and special. We've
Yeah.
been divinely created, and that we are here for a reason. We're here for a purpose,
Yeah.
and we matter. And this world isn't the same without us as it is with us. And this world needs us. And where I really started to recognize that phrase was a few months ago. A musician, actually out of the UK, approached me to write a song with him called Stay Here, Stay Now.
I was going to get onto that.
Yeah. And so I'll actually come back to that in a moment, because I just wanted to go back to what you had shared about how you view your suicide attempt. And like, I'm very grateful that you use that terminology, because
Yeah.
so often when we attempt suicide and we still live after the fact, we really attach failure
We
to
do.
that. And I remember when I was 19, I had been married to my first husband for probably about a year and a half. We'd already had some crazy ups and downs in such a short period of time. And there was things that occurred where it started to see violence within the home. And which is crazy, because I'm recognizing now in my life that certain belief systems and certain choices and certain paths, it doesn't stop with just the one event that occurred. I've, been through domestic violence not once, but twice.
Mm.
Fortunately for me, I am now in a relationship where God gifted me an amazing man, and we've been together for 36 years. Not to say
Wow.
that everything is perfect
No.
all the time, but we, you know, go through our valleys, we climb our mountains, and somehow we figure out how to keep alongside each other. And so, going back to when I was 19, I was so super excited because I had finally got the plan that was going to be so super successful. And I can't describe to you the joy that I felt in that moment. And I feel that there are times when you're attempting suicide and you don't really want to die. You
Mm.
actually feel a lot of sadness around that.
Yeah.
For me, I really desired to die because I knew it was going to be the perfect solution. Because all this belief system, this would be the answer. And so I ingested a lot of pills, enough pills that should have killed a horse. And I was euphoric. And I closed my eyes. And it was it. And it was great peace. And 2 days later, I woke up and I was still alive. The devastation of that was lower than anything I had experienced ever before. And so that's where, the suicide survivor comes in. And so, but somehow I carried on, and thank goodness, because for me, I have a very strong connection to spirit. And the spirit within me has kept me going in spite of myself. I'm so
Absolutely.
grateful for that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Because I always believe when it comes to problem shared is problem halved.
Yes,
I believe that.
so true.
It is. It is. Wow. I need time to process all this.
Oh,
Yeah. Just thank you.
you're welcome.
See?
Again, like, thank you. We make a difference.
We do.
We do. And, you know, someone asked me recently, well, how do you speak, to someone who's on the verge of committing suicide? Like, aren't they too far gone? They're not open and willing to hear the story that you might share with them. And I really had to step back into those times and places for me. Could I have been open to to have received? And I believe that there is an inherent part of us, whether or not we recognize it, that is so cosmically, universally connected. For me, that's my personal faith in God, that's creator, universe, source, that even at what feels like the very last possible moment, that just simply telling someone they are not alone, they are loved, that they are not defined by whatever their experiences are, that they are important, that they are needed, and
Yeah.
that the world just isn't the same without them. And I think that any moment that we encounter someone that's having that really difficult moment, even if you don't know, if we always try to show up in any circumstance or situation we find ourselves in from a place of heart space, I truly believe that that heart space pours love out far greater than we can ever imagine. And that can be as simple as the moment where you're standing in line at the grocery store and that poor cashier who has just been blasted by the customer in front of you for whatever's going on. You don't know that cashier's story. And if that was the last piece of what she could take, just much like for me when I was 12, and that was that last straw that day of bullying on the bus. And all I need to do is just, when it's my turn at the cash register, is to smile and to say hello and just to create that connection and that engagement that can make a life changing difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I always do this for people that did experience bullying, because I was the same. I experienced a lot of bullying in my time. I'm going to give you the platform again, and I want you to give a little bit of feedback to those who may be currently experiencing bullying as we speak, and just give them a bit of message of hope or anything. And if your old bullies are going to be watching, what's your message to them?
First of all, for those in my past who bullied me, I just want to say that I love each and every one of you and that I forgive you, because as much as my life has its story and its journey and its message, each of you did. And where I chose to internalize and destroy myself from the inside because of my life experiences, for each bully, they are really the same reaction, but they're doing that outwardly. And so, from the heart of everything, we are no different from one another. And for any of those that are being challenged by bullies, I just want to pour love into you right now. And I'm just going to take a deep breath. And extend to you as much love as I can give you, because you are so much more than the moments of those bullies that are coming into your life, and that whatever they're projecting on you is not truth. The truth is from within you. And whatever message that is being portrayed in how they are for you, I want you to stop, identify those, and to consciously at this moment start to recreate and rewrite the story, and know that that is your truth, not what the bullies are doing to you. And as hard as it is sometimes, is to be in a place of love and forgiveness for those that are bullying you. Because remember, we're all the same, and we all respond to our life experiences, either inwardly or outwardly. And it's just all of us coming together that makes that difference. Two, if you're being bullied, talk to somebody, reach out to someone. In my case, it wasn't my mom. And if I'd known then what I know now, I would have found somebody else to reach out. But the great news is I managed to get past that. And I can honestly say, because I can remember each of the guys from my school bus, that they weren't perfect. And hopefully that they've created a much better life for each of themselves. And I want to also extend to each of you to reach out to me if you need someone to talk to, someone to listen to you. That's what I am here for.
Beautiful, beautiful. And on that, where can people find you?
I've got a website called tappingintothe-wellspringofhope.com. So the wellspringofhope.com is the short version. I'm also on Facebook. I try and play a little bit in Instagram. Twitter, I'm trying to figure out. And they can also email me at sapphirerosestudios@gmail.com. Also, feel free to put a message in this YouTube channel along on this message. I will come back in and keep an eye on the conversation and dialogue that may occur during this live or after the fact for that conversation and finding ways to connect. I just want each of you to know that you're not alone and that you truly are here for a purpose and a reason. And I also want to share with those who have lost someone to suicide, because there's a whole different gamut that goes there. There's a burden that you carry as the person left behind. And like me, the questions that you asked, you know, it would be the same as Mila. What could I have done differently? Where did I fail? Remember to honor and love those that have chosen to go, and to love them without judgment, release them, and to remember them in love.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, all I've got to say is thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your powerful story from a powerful soul.
Thank you. Thank you. I am deeply blessed.
Yeah, you are most welcome.
And thank you for staying.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with you. Same with you.
Yeah.
And for everyone else. For everyone
Yes.
else, we're truly grateful.
And if you're struggling with wondering if you should stay or go, like, reach out. And also we'll create some information on, links for organizations that you can reach out to. There are people to talk to at a professional level if that's the route that you want to go. But there are resources. There is something there for you. And none of us are exceptions. I thought that at some point that I might have been an exception, that everybody else had a reason to be here except me. Not true. It's a lie.
Exactly.
We are all needed.
Yeah, just think, guys. Everyone at the Mental Health Warriors, there's 12 of us. We're not professionals. Yeah, we're gaining qualifications left, right, and centre, but we're not professionals. But we have all hit rock bottom, and we've all attempted suicide. And look, we built this. We built the Mental Health Warriors.
I am so grateful for your mission.
Thank you.
So grateful for the entire team.
Yeah.
Each of us taking the ashes of our stories and creating beauty.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Now, a little bit of housekeeping, as our Steve Knapp always says. Tomorrow, even though the TV guy says Caroline Murphy-Bennis, the Rainbow Warrior, is due on tomorrow at 9 p.m. with Karen Unruh, there's going to be a slight change. Karen Unruh's not going to be on. She's not well, so I hope she gets better. So in replacement of Karen, you're going to hear me. I'll be back again. But this time, I'll be getting my story out. I'm getting my story out. That's at 9 p.m. UK time. So, yeah, in about an hour's time, but on Friday, tomorrow. Yeah, an hour. So there you go. So I don't know what time that'll be you, Michelle. I don't know. Will it be about 1, 2 o'clock?
9 o'clock UK time will be 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here out in Alberta, Canada.
There you go. There you go. So you'll probably end up watching it.
Absolutely. I'm going to be able to join because I'll be home from work. It's going to be perfect timing. And I look forward to hearing your story and learning about your journey.
Absolutely. And like my partner's just said, does that mean I don't have to watch I Know Your Story? Well, guess what? Yeah, you do have to watch. Right. I will see you all later. Please share the hell out of this. And we look forward to your feedback. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks, Adam.
Bye.